Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your channel of Math and Engineering Made Easy. Today, as I told you, we are going to move a step further and do multiplication and dividing of rational expressions. So, when we start with the first one, we have 12 of them. The first one is a multiplication, and you can see that I have an a square in the numerator and an a in the numerator. So basically, it's the same thing as simplifying. Some people would say, for example, a square over a is just a and they write it. Or we may just do like we did in the previous problem. I have In the numbers, I have a 2 and a 1. I cannot simplify, so it just stays. I'm not going to divide. I have an a square and a, so I'm going to divide by a both sides. And this pen is terrible. I have a b square and b square. In fact, there is no reason to, divide by b square and b square just to make it simpler. So now what remains from the numerator? 2 over nothing is 2 over 1 is 2. A square over a is a. And the b square cancels. In the denominator, I have an a. Divide by a, it goes away. B square by b square, it goes away. And the c stays. So 2a over c. Same thing here, but before I continue, I'm going to factor this. So that equals. I have two numbers that multiply to negative 15, meaning one is positive and one is negative, y plus and y minus. The bigger of the two is minus, and they have to add up to 2. Definitely, it's negative 5 and positive 3, right? So y plus 3 and y minus 5. The denominator is 4 over y plus 3. So the y plus 3 simplifies and I get y minus 5 over 4. It seems like it's the same thing so far. However, next one is a division, but we learned that when we divide two fractions, and that's a fraction, it's a rational, meaning it can be written as a ratio, and a ratio is a fraction. That becomes x minus 5 over 6 times 12 over 2x minus 10. Now I have 12 and 6, so I can divide top and bottom by 6. Oh, first I should have factored this. So let's write it again. X minus 5 times 12, and write the 12 in the beginning, over 6. And then the 2x and the negative 10 have 2 in common, so times 2 and x minus 5. And that basically is the same thing, so you get 1. I can simplify the x minus 5 and the x minus 5. The 12 over 6 is 2, and then the 2 over 2 is 1. The answer is 1. The quantity in the numerator is the same as the quantity in the denominator. Let's go here. I have a multiplication. The first one, the first term can be factored as 5, because 5 and 15, I can have 5 out with n plus 3. The second one, I can take from it 2, and that becomes n plus 2. The denominator, here I can take 4 out, and that leaves me with n plus 2. Here I can multiply by taking 3 as a common factor, and that leaves me with n plus 3. N plus 3 and n plus 3 cancels. N plus 2 and n plus 2 cancel. The 2 and the 4 makes it 2 in the denominator. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 2 times 3 is 6, is 5, 6. Let's move to the next one. First of all, there is a division. I can factor and simplify. Well, let's do it on 2 steps. X squared minus 2x over 6 times x over 3x minus 6. I'm going to factor from the numerator an x, but there is another x. So it would be x times x minus 2 times x, which makes that x squared. The denominator, I have 6, and then I can factor 3, so times 3, and that leaves me with x minus 2. The x minus 2 and the x minus 2 cancels out. They cancel out, and I get x squared over 6 times 3, which is 18. When we move to number 6, it's a division, so I make it a multiplication. And at the same time, well, let's do multiplication as well as factoring. Here I have m plus and m minus because the product is negative. So one is positive, one is negative. The bigger is negative. Okay, what numbers multiply to 8 and their difference is 2? It's 4 and 2. But I make the 2 the smaller with a plus and the 4 the bigger with the minus. Notice I'm going to multiply by that. But m squared plus 7m plus 12 can also be factored as m plus and m plus. Two numbers that multiply to 12 and add up to 7 are 3 and 4. Then I'm going to divide. Notice that in the denominator, I have these two guys. I can factor an 8 from this and that leaves me with 8m plus 3. And here I can factor another 2 that leaves me with m minus 4. Which means I can simplify this with that, and that leaves me with m plus 2 times m plus 4 over 16, which is m squared plus 6m plus 8 if you want, but since we are simplifying, we factor. They tell you show work and factor. Okay, when we do the next two, that's a multiplication, so the numerator stays the same. I cannot simplify x plus 3 or x plus 2. However, in the denominator, I can factor out the 10, which leaves me with x plus 2, right? And then I have a trinomial that I can factor as x plus x plus. Definitely two numbers that multiply to 3 and add up to 4 are 1 and 3. And finally, x plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 3, x plus 3. I get 1 over 10 times x plus 1. Let's move to this one. I factor the first one. I have two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and their difference is negative 1, meaning x minus 4 and x plus 3, right? I'm going to divide. So that will come in the numerator times x minus 5. What's left in the denominator is x minus 4 and this guy, which is 2x plus 6. I'm doing it in one step, but if you want, you can show them in 2 steps by first multiplying by the reciprocal. I'm going to factor out a 2, and that leaves me with x plus 3. Again, x minus 4, x minus 4, x plus 3, x plus 3. So that leaves me at the end with x minus 5 over 2. Some people prefer to write it 1/2 times x minus 5. That's fine. It's the same thing. Division. Again, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it on single step. So I'm going to factor this. You should be now familiar with how to do these. So I'm not going to waste your time. X minus 6 times x plus 1. I'm going to multiply by the denominator because I'm going to flip it over. So I'm going to take a 7 out, and that leaves me with x plus 3. When I divide 5x plus 15, I can factor out the 5, and that leaves me with x plus 3. And then I can factor another x minus 4 times x plus 1, right? They add up to negative 3 and multiply to negative 4. Finally, we are going to simplify x plus 1, x plus 1, x plus 3, x plus 3. And the answer would be 7 times x minus 6 over 5 times x minus 4. Next one is a multiplication. I can simplify. First of all, I have 24 and 8. So I'm gonna divide by 8 top and bottom. And then I have 15 and 25. Both of them are divisible by 5. So I'm going to divide by 5 top and bottom, meaning by 40. And then I have x cubed and x squared. I'm going to divide by x squared. I have y squared and y to the 5th. So I'm going to divide by y squared. What remains from the numerator? 24 over 8 is 3. 15 over 5 is another 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. X cubed over x squared is x. Y squared over y squared is 1. 25 over 5 is 5, and 8 over 8 is 1, so I get 5. X squared over x squared cancels out. Y cubed, y to the 7 over y squared is y cubed. So 9x over 5y cubed. The last step, this one is a multiplication, so I factor out the 6. That leaves you x minus 3 times x. The denominator, I have 4x, and then I factor 2, and that leaves you x minus 3. So x minus 3, x minus 3, x, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and I get 3/4, 3 over 4. That's it, nothing else. Last one, it's a division. So let's write it first as a multiplication just to make it easier. 3x plus 12. Before that, I used to do it in a single step, but let's show you how, if you want to do it on 2 steps, that's what you will do. Now I'm going to factor the numerator, so I can take a 3 out times 48. I get x plus 4 and x cubed. When I divide, I have 12x and x plus 4. First of all, I've seen it a lot. I don't like it, is that students would multiply, because you learn in PEMDAS when, you go from left to right. But for multiplication and division, you can simplify. 48 and 12 is 4, and you just have to multiply 3 by 4. Instead of saying 3 times 48 and get your calculator, you will get 144, and then you divide 144 by 12, you're also going to get 12. So at the end of the day, you will get 12 here in the numerator. Then the x plus 4 and the x plus 4 cancel. The x and the cube would make it square, so the answer is 12x squared. And that's it. Okay? So I think it's even easier than the previous simplifying. It's the same thing, right? You've seen that. But here we can combine like individual x's with factoring. But at the end of the day, we simplify. Just don't forget to invert the division and make it a multiplication when you get a problem like that. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow for addition and subtraction. Why is it a little trickier? It's not trickier, but a little more involved, because when you add or subtract, you have to make sure that you are using a common denominator. And finally, in the following session, we'll do some problems in which we are going to solve rational equations. Okay? Thanks for your time. Hope to see you soon. Have a great day.